Welcome back. Q&A week again. Got a great question. You ever notice we get such great questions? They are. This one's from Chris Anderson from Maine. And he says, it seems to me that we're always trying to cast towards the part of the river that we aren't. Or in other words, those in boats are throwing towards the banks, and those waiting are throwing towards the boats. Do you find that most of the strikes happen somewhere in between the two, or is one better than the other? That's the first question. I'm going to take this in two parts, break it at not so much, I think the second part's more about streamer fishing. And lastly, you mentioned that you fish most of your streamers within the top 18 inches of water or so. Is that true even when you're in deeper stretches of the river that are 4 foot deep, or do you try to wait and give your sinking line some time to take the fly to the deeper parts? Thanks again. All right, that's a great question. I'm going to take it in two parts. The first part, I just want to go over, yes, it's true the people in the boat are thrown to the shore and the people on the shore are thrown out to here, but you need to approach the river on purpose. You don't just throw it out there. You don't huck it out in the middle and just hope it all the way back. And I think it's one of the most common mistakes people make. I'm not talking about streamer fishing or nymph fishing or dry fishing. I'm just talking fishing here. First and foremost, you have to understand why the fish is where the fish is and what they're doing there. First and foremost, the fish is there to feed. That's the only thing fish do. They either eat or they rest. So, what makes a fish feed? And what makes all fish feed for that matter? In a river, it's basic. Biomass makes a fish feed. The bugs start on the bottom and move up through the water column. So that's pretty simple. If the bugs start on the bottom and they move up through the water column, the fish are going to be somewhere in that saturation. They're going to be, if the bugs are all up here, they're going to be here. Most of your insect life is in less than 3 foot of water. The light penetration in the shallow water is greater, so you're going to have a higher number of aquatic insects. Obviously not counting mud burrowing mayflies and things like that. But for the most part, most of your insects are going to be in less than 3 foot. So what do you look for? If you're just casting all the time, you're doing yourself a disservice anyway. You need to fish where the fish are. Most common mistake anglers make everywhere is fishing where fish aren't. Seems simple enough, but I can guarantee you I can go out on that river tomorrow and see somebody just casting as far as they can cast, hoping that somewhere in between there, and that's what it is, it's a total hope. It's not a hunt. So what I want to see people do is to go in and break their water down. Break the water down. And Chris asked, the boat person's throwing to shore and the shore person's throwing to the middle. And is there a happy medium? There is, and you don't know where it is. You've just got to find the water. If you're on the Madison, virtually the whole river's fishable because it's a shallow river, tons of boulders, so you get lots of ledges and lots of this and this and that. But if you're waiting around and you're not pinpointing where you want to fish, you're not really hunting. You're just hoping it up. So when you go out, remember, the thing that makes a fish start to feed in the morning, evening, afternoon, doesn't matter, is biomass. Biomass simply means the movement of insects going through the water column. So they start in the morning, they start low, and they kind of migrate through, and they end up, they hatch out, and then so the fish follows them from the morning all the way up to there's a duns on the surface or adult, and they eat them there. Suddenly there's no duns. Where the fish go? They go right back to the bottom because there's nothing floating on the top. They sit up down here looking for anything that's down there. So where should you be? It's the middle of the day, nothing's rising. You got to be where the fish are. They're going to be back on bottom. Now it gets closer to evening. What do the fish do? You start having your caddis come back to lay eggs. You got your mayflies laying eggs. What do the fish do? They orient towards where the biomass is. So they go back to the surface and start looking for bugs coming down to them. So as an angler, what you've got to do is you've got to find the perfect substrate. You've got to find the bottom type that lets the fish rest or feed. So if it's generally less than 3 foot of water. So when you're going up and down the river, you're looking for that spot that says, yep, that fish could sit right there, and then you're going to cast less and stalk more. You look at the superstar Spring Creek anglers. you know, the Renee Harrops and Mike Lawsons of the world, you'll see these guys, they aren't out there hooking these huge casts. They're stalking their fish. They're getting up on them. They're reading the fish. They're reading how they're feed, and they're casting to them. The angler that does that suddenly steps to another level. So you get to the river, you start stalking your water. You start looking for places where the fish are rising. Up here, you get to see them, no problem. Fish isn't rising, it's down the bottom. You start looking at the substrates. Does it look comfortable for the fish? Is there anything that tells you that that's a break in the water? Generally, they like ledges of some sort. Fish like to ride on an edge. It's a color change. It's a natural break in the current. They don't want to fight current. They want a nice, smooth current that's letting the things go by them, and they get to go to that. Move over here, move over here. Big boulder. You can sit here and go boom, boom, get food all day. So what you're looking for is a wade angler or a boat angler, doesn't matter, the type of substrate that would hold the fish. That optimum holding water with enough current that the bugs can go by it. Second part of his question is about streamer fishing specifically. It says you seldom fish. It says that you seldom fish deeper than 18 inches. Very true. Again, big fish, in particular when I'm fishing streamers, I'm targeting big fish. Big fish are lazy, fat pigs. If they were skinny, anemic, I wouldn't fish them. I'm looking for some corn-fed cow pig. They don't get like that if they're bucking a lot of current. They're looking for the soft substrates, the spots where they just get to rest. Now, I said he's talking about one of my videos where I say I seldom fish deeper than 18 inches. So when I'm looking for fish, big fish in particular, they're generally in less than 3 foot. That's the thing that really gets people. They always want to huck that fly out in the middle because, man, they've got to be out in the middle. That's where all the big fish are. Those fish are right where you're walking. They're right there. They're not afraid of you. You walk over them every day. That fish is looking where you can sit and rest. The reason I say I seldom fish deeper than 18 inches is because most big fish are in less than 3 foot. Almost all fish ride 4 to 6 inches off the bottom. They don't put their bellies on the bottom. They sit like this. So if my fly is 18 inches deep, that fish is 6 inches off the bottom. Even I can do this math. That means I have this much, 1 foot of impact zone. Fly's here, fish is here. He can do that faster than you can even respond. But I'm looking again for a substrate. I'm looking for a type of bottom that allows the fish, and this is true for all fish. They all want to just relax. They're not there to fight the current. So they're going to be in places where the substrate allows them to see the food if they're feeding on aquatic life, and if not, they just want to be able to blend in and not have to fight the current. So I'm going to look for a soft substrate. I'm looking for something that lets the fish ride and without fighting it, just sitting there. And if he wants to eat, he'll get there very quickly. That's why I don't have to dredge the bottom. So in overview, just look for water that tells you the fish could be there. He doesn't have to fight it. He's going to be able to see the food and then stalk more, cast less. Hope that helps you out. Oh, and don't forget, if we use your question, like we used Chris's, we send you a hat and a box of flies. So keep the questions coming in. Thanks.